A properly threaded sewing machine is going to make all the difference in the world. Let me show you a few tricks on threading and winding a bobbin on the Pfaff Quilt Expression 4.2 sewing machine. So first off, there are two ways to put spools on the machine. You can put them on so they slide on horizontally, and you can slide them on so they go vertical. So what's the difference? So here's how I remember it. So on a spool that has little X's, you want to have the thread coming off the end. Kind of a cross-wound thread does better that way. If the thread lays, or what's called stack thread, some brands do that, it actually works best if they come off the spool while they're standing up. Now if that is the case, definitely take one of the spool caps and the little felt pad, put it on, and then put this in place, and then it will actually work much better. So, but for today, we're going to go ahead and put it on here. We're going to take a spool cap and make sure we don't leave any gap between the two. Otherwise, thread can get caught between there, and then it actually usually breaks the needle, and that's never fun. So when we go to thread for the bobbin, we're going to come underneath the silver part and then up through the little groove. So that's true for no matter how you are threading. If you're winding a bobbin or threading the machine. Next, you're going to go underneath the little pretensioner here, and you're going to go around counterclockwise. So slip it on top of the little finger, underneath the little silver button, and pull to the front of the machine and then over to that back guide. Lay it in the back guide here. Now, let me show you a trick with the bobbins. What's nice about these bobbins is that on the Pfaff logo, have it always showing. So it's going to be on the top when we wind a bobbin, and it's going to be on the top when we drop it down into the machine. If you take the thread and go from the inside to out of the hole that's here, okay, here we go, and pull the thread out the top, place the bobbin on the bobbin winder, and push it to the right to engage it. If you hold your hand with the thread in it straight up like this and step on the foot control, you'll notice that it will start to wind. Now let me show you a trick. Because this machine has a bobbin sensor, the sensor activates when the lower part of the bobbin is empty. Let me show you what I'm talking about. There's a little top ridge in the upper part of the bobbin on the inside. So what I like to recommend people do is when you start to wind a bobbin, if you give it a little push so it goes down out of the top of the ridge and fills the bottom part first, then when that bobbin sensor goes off and says, hey, you're out of bobbin, you truly are out of bobbin. Now what I want to do is make sure that this breaks off, but if there's any little tail sticking up, you've got to clip that off. Otherwise it's going to interfere while the stitches are being made. So it will stop when you are done, or it's done filling up the bobbin. If for any reason it's not filling up to the fullest setting or to your liking, you can actually always just take this little screw and just move the little stopper a little further away. So at this point, it probably needs a little bit of a push to get a few more twists on there, but for today this is fine. Take the bobbin, slide it to the left, lift up, and there is a cutter at this point. Now we are going to do a closer video on inserting the bobbin into the machine, but for right now we're looking for the Pfaff logo. It's on top. Bring the thread around so it comes down to about 6 o'clock. Bring the thread to the left, click it in. Notice I held my finger on there. That just helps make life life easier. It snaps right into place. Come over the top, underneath the little cutter. Sometimes I'll even put the little door back on, then cut the thread, and that is all ready to go. When you're done up here, we switch this part around. So instead of being on top of the little silver finger, now we're going to go underneath it. So come underneath it. With your left hand, draw down the first groove. Notice I'm holding my thread with my right hand. What I'm going to do is even just make sure I floss the thread a little bit. The tension discs of the machine are right here. So if I want to make sure I'm going to thread this correctly, make sure the presser foot is up and you lower that down into the tension disc with purpose. And then come up to the take-up lever, come in on the right side, all the way back, and down on the left. You can feel it click in there. You don't even have to see it, but just make sure it clicks in. Come all the way down to the top of the needle. There's one guide at the very top. and there is a needle threader on this machine. So I'm going to just quick use it, and yes, we will put a video for the needle threader, help you master that. But for right now, I just want to make sure that I've threaded the machine correctly. Take a piece of fabric, fold it in half. It always works better when you're sewing on 2 layers. And you notice I reached for this back here to lower it because the last couple of machines we filmed, they all had lifters and lowers. And we are finally to a machine that now I don't have to do that. Yay, I guess I'm spoiled already. So just step on your foot control. The foot will lower down onto your fabric and start to sew. When you get all the way to the end, you do have the selective thread cutter. It'll cut the thread and lift the foot. Oh, hallelujah. So if your thread stitch looks the same on the front as it does on the back, you know you did it correctly. So let's get into a little bit more specific, like how the bobbin went in, how that needle threader works. But once you know how to thread and insert your bobbin, your sewing, gosh, everything is much smoother when you thread the machine correctly.